Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the organisers and Professor Nabilaya, who apparently went downstairs, but for inviting me to talk on this concept which lies at the heart of the organisation I run. My talk will be predominantly based on my hands-on experience in both business but also in diplomacy, and especially through the work of the organizations which I'm going to represent here today. For centuries, the classic function of the diplomat has been to be the ear, the eye, and the voice of the government abroad, communicating and often negotiating in the interest of their national interests. These two words, communicating and negotiating, are particularly important also for the business community. Who better to constitute the point persons, which was mentioned today by Her Excellency Camilla Palmer from Belize, in any assessment of global trade development potential than a worldwide network of diplomats working in regular consultation with marketing and industry specialists. Diplomats can provide ongoing assessment of existing potential based on their specific cultural expertise, and in addition, with the support of the business and experts, they would further enhance the interest of their countries. Diplomats are particularly key in providing up-to-date political and economic risk analysis. As Ambassador Hamid Iraqi outlined in today's global economy, the key role of the diplomatic missions has increasingly been to act as champions of economic development through enhanced promotion of bilateral as well as multilateral trade and investment. And I was also, until early, thinking that this is really the key role in diplomacy, that obviously politics are still playing a major role, so the other half went unsaid. For diplomats in particular, I think that this new strategic goal is crucial, since attracting FDI has become a central focus of economic planning for not only developing countries but also for developed ones. However, for commercial diplomats to be able to successfully fulfill this role, obviously they should first and foremost seek from their governments to create effective cooperation between government agencies and diplomatic missions, working hard to fight corruption, decrease risks, increase access to finance, improve business indicators, and not least to devise proper legislative and regulatory framework at home is crucial. Any improvement in this direction, particularly in emerging markets, will significantly increase the potential for more trade and investment, which means more jobs and, in general terms, a better living standard. UKTI partnership with DFID, FCO, and this is a very good example to be followed, in my view, from developing countries. The synergies there work quite well, if, although maybe not always, but it's a very successful jointly program. This last year, IBDE, my organisation, in partnership with FCO through their diplomatic representation in Albania, organised the UK-Albania Business Forum as part of the UK's global effort to put trade and commercial interest at the heart of foreign policy. Coming from an organisation that has commercial diplomacy at the heart of our programs, we are very pleased to see that this concept is now steadily being embraced by other nations worldwide, and we are very, very glad to be assisting this process. And I'd like to talk briefly on best practices in trade and promotion, as this is obviously key for any diplomats if they want to engage branding. And before I talk about this, I just wanted to make a brief statement strongly disagreeing with our previous speaker, who totally ignored the importance of branding nations, particularly new nations, as the ones which are in the Balkans, these new states which had undergone a severe difficulties through the war. Unfortunately, still they are being perceived as problematic when in fact the situation is totally different. So there is a need for rebranding, if not only branding too, and particularly the business work which I operate in a daily basis, this fixed idea that particular regions are troubled regions, therefore there is no need to even put before the Executive Board any proposal for investment is plainly wrong. And I think it's very good, and I encourage actually countries to try and rebrand and promote the positive aspects of their regions and nations. The principles of trade and commerce have not changed significantly over centuries, but the tools in achieving objectives have been totally transformed. In the present fast pace of globalization, the drivers of this process have been the development in communication, the computer technologies, advanced logistics, and long-distance service provision. The global crisis, of course, in 2008-2009 did cause a temporary halt in this surge of foreign direct investment, and the prolonged Eurozone crisis is unfortunately still stalling the return of growth as it was in 2007. Having said that, the recent reforms taken by the EU governments, and in particular ECB's recent interventions, show that the EU can turn a crisis into strength. My organisation understands that we live in uncertain and volatile times, but we also understand that there are opportunities to be seized, and IBDE is certainly focused in making its modest contribution in assisting the integration of world markets in this process. Designing and implementing appropriate policies to harness the potential of investment agencies and diplomatic missions to promote business opportunities in their countries requires, as it was quite often today mentioned, adequate skills and capabilities. Governments also need to prioritize among competing projects, establishing clear and realistic objectives for the projects chosen and integrate them into broader development strategies. One of the key aspects in achieving economic growth for any country is the provision of good quality infrastructure as a prerequisite to economic growth. And there is a significant financing gap between the future infrastructure needs of developing countries and the amounts being invested by national governments, public sector and other stakeholders. Alternatives are now being sought, and we are pleased to observe that emerging markets in particular are embracing now public-private partnerships as the new venture of growth, and in various areas, particularly related to infrastructure. But when I say infrastructure, it means the whole set of infrastructure: telecommunication, transport, air, sea, routes, and railway and other related infrastructure projects. We are organising a major investment conference in Southeast Europe, and incidentally, it looks like the majority of the speakers in this panel come from Southeast Europe, and it makes sense to talk in this project. But for anyone who is interested in PPPs in Southeast Europe, which includes Turkey, Western Balkans, Slovenia, then please do get in touch with us. And the key to, I'm hoping I'm not running too late, but it looks like I am. So.
No, you're not. It's only just the last minute.
I just add this before I conclude. To further a country's investment environment in depth, business and economic reforms are necessary, particularly